What's good, everybody? RJ Shun here, back with another episode of Off the Top Show, BD Boys edition. As you see on the screen here, got my good brother James Muenchow, aka Jimmer. How we doing, brother?
Well, we're coming off a really sad, but then it kind of got made up for the last day. We'll take a win when we can. But it was a heartbreaking week for us ever since we last talked. And we had our dessert last. Yeah, the appetizer and the main course were not very good, but we got our dessert and it wasn't bad. So we can't complain to end it on a good note. So, but it you know we it was a little bit of a rough week for some of us sports fans.
No, absolutely, it was here for the Wisconsin people and who we definitely are from and where we are. But let's go ahead and talk about our Green Bay Packers. Here's to go ahead and take that dessert first before we go ahead and talk about the other entrees that were terrible. Packers went ahead and won this one 27-23. Jordan Love continuing to play very good ball. The offense is looking very, very crisp in the second half. We still have our situations where we're not really getting going in the first half. But talk to me about the offense, and then obviously we'll switch it over to the defense.
Well, the offense to start in the first half had some moments. Some run game started off very slow again. Uh, Three and outs. It didn't look good. They had one drive that stalled. Um, Another that ended on fourth down, I believe. It was just like it's either one or the other. We're finding out. It's either they're going to start off red hot, fast as hell. Oh my God, get ready. They're going to score 50. And then they are like, okay, maybe not. They just took their foot off the gas. Or it's, are they going to show up at some point in the second half comes and it's like, oh, never mind. And now they're going to score a lot and they're going to be really efficient on offense. It's getting a little annoying. But then you kind of look at the weapons that were on the field. Um, Dontavian Wicks didn't get a lot of snaps. Uh, Romeo Doubs, Tucker Kraft, and Matthew Golden had 4 receptions. Kraft had 5. Romeo Doubs had 6. Josh Jacobs only had 1 catch, which I didn't enjoy because we saw the past 2 weeks that they really got him involved in more of the passing game because you don't have many threats on the outside. Don't get me wrong. Matthew Golden and Romeo Doubs have played really well these past 2 weeks. But other than Tucker Kraft, who has there been? Dontavian Wicks was hurt last week, got hurt last week, didn't play that much this week. And that didn't leave many people. Jaden Reed's hurt. Christian Watson's out. So I think the offense is kind of hindering because you don't have many weapons, but it's really good to see guys like Matthew Golden, Matthew Golden's becoming a guy on third downs mostly who you go to and fourth down. That he had 2 catches in that first. I think they were both in the first drive that were huge. That kept the drive
Right.
rolling, didn't So and then Tucker Kraft had a really good game again, 5 catches, 58 and a touchdown. And Romeo Doubs continues to be the guy who's like more so your go-to guy, hands guy. So other than that, run game. I mean, once again, we're going to get into the defense. The defense didn't really leave that much for Green Bay to have. Um, the time of possession was 25-34 in favor of Arizona. That's not good. So when you talk about how efficient your offense has been, I guess if you want to put it to the time of possession, yeah, they've been pretty efficient. 25, you only get the ball for 25 minutes and you score 27 points, which, by the way, 21 of those points were in the second half. You can't complain about what they're doing because, they're putting up points. Like all 4 of their wins, they had 27 points. The tie, they had 40. And then they had the clunker against Cleveland. This is a really good offense. Total yards, they only had 262. Again, they only had the ball for 25 minutes. But again, Josh Jacobs played another really stellar game, 13 rushes for 55. I mean, that's 4 yards of rush. You can't be really upset about it. Jordan Love, another kind of clean game, which you kind of like. 19 for 29, only 179 yards, and a touchdown. So it wasn't pretty. I think the Cardinals may. This is the second time the Cardinals have actually played a really good game and lost. So I think the Cardinals I think the Cardinals are finding something funny enough with Jacoby Brissett. They look like a totally better team with Jacoby Brissett than they do uh with Kyler Murray. So they have shit to talk about apparently. But other than that, I mean, Green Bay has kind of faced two teams because last week it was Cincinnati against and Joe Flacco. Well, guess what? Cincinnati played another really freaking good game for the second week in a row with Joe Flacco at the helm. So
Right.
Green Bay is just ran into two teams that put in two different quarterbacks and have found something really good and have been positives, and they've won both of those games. So you can complain about how it was won, and yes, don't get me wrong, my anxiety was up. I was like, are you serious? It's Jacoby Brissett, but this is the second week in a row that the Cardinals have put up 27 and then 23. What is more of an indictment on is the defense. Yes, we're going to talk about the defense.
Yes.
The main problems there was not the running game. I think they only gave up 94 yards of rushing, but the passing game they gave up 236. Uh, that's not good. It was a really really bad game for Keyshawn Nixon and Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs, we heard so much about Nate Hobbs over the course of the offseason. We saw a bunch of film on him when he was with Las Vegas. We're not seeing that right now. He is not good right now. I hope he improves, but he is just bad. And Keyshawn Nixon did not have a good game at all either. Thank God Micah Parsons and Quay Walker had really good games. Micah Parsons with 3 sacks. Thank the Lord. That's why you
Thank
pay
you.
him. Rashawn Gary finally showing up, got a couple turnovers. It was more of an opportunistic defense than a dominant one, which I'd rather take the dominant one than the opportunistic one. Uh, Edgerrin Cooper quietly had a really good game, but they got the stops when you needed it. Not that they got stops all the time, or they just like suffocated you, but when you needed a stop, they got them. So I mean, I guess you got to tip your cap to that. It was really fucking frustrating that the only guy out there that's really going to hurt you was Trey McBride, as I said last week, and he was still like, hey, by the way, everybody, this guy's really good. Like he
Right.
is probably the leading tight end in receiving right now. He had 10 catches, by the way, for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hey, by the way, he's their best receiver. Do we want to put a body on him? Like the amount of times where Keyshawn Nixon got hole shotted, and if people don't understand what that means, is that he went way too deep in his zone, or he was just not in his zone at all, was fucking frustrating.
Right.
So like Marvin Harrison Jr. has not been a factor all season for the Cardinals. He had 2 catches for 58. Zay Jones, yeah, who is that guy? Yeah, I don't know either. But he had 2 for 67. So they're giving up way too many chunk plays. Michael Wilson 3 for 40. Michael Carter 2 for 25. Those stats just showed, besides Trey McBride, who had 10 catches, which is also not good, that these guys had 2 to 3 touches each, and they were all for chunk plays. Not good. So that was really, really frustrating. But you got the W. Couple special teams played another really good game. The guy who was supposed to be a substitute teacher 2 weeks ago now holds the franchise record for longest field goal at 61 yards. And you know what? It's kind of funny to think about. He was supposed to be a substitute teacher 2 weeks ago. When Brandon McManus comes back to this football team and this guy gets waived, he's going to get a contract somewhere. And it's going to change
Absolutely.
the outlook of his family's life if he has one.
Yep.
I don't know if he does. He probably does. But it's going to change the outlook on his family's life forever because this dude literally came in and has looked like a 10-year vet. Like he's just been knocking kicks through and like calm, cool, collected. So, that's a really bright point for me. that guy's life is probably going to be changed forever now because Green Bay's not going to let go of Brandon McManus. Let's just be honest about that. But it also makes you feel good because now you don't have to rush Brandon McManus back because you're not having kicking woes like you used to. So again, that guy, I think that's a great story on the season so far. That's one of the best stories of the season so far. And I hope that if Brandon McManus comes back healthy, when he probably does, that guy gets a contract somewhere else in the NFL because he's basically proved like, yeah, I could kick in this league. And by the way, I can make 61 yarders. So who wants me? I'm over here. So that guy. I'll be on my y'all people call my people, which is probably my wife because I don't know if that guy got an agent, but good for him. You know, I that's my takeaway from that game of the positives. But again, the offensive line looked a little better. I Jordan Love, like with creating plays, they gave up 1 sack, and Jordan Love making plays with his feet. I mean, there's a couple. My goodness, there's times where I'm like, and he's out. Like it looks like Aaron Rodgers, like what he used to do, and he just looks way more impressive. He missed one wide open throw on 4th down that should have been a touchdown to Romeo Doubs, which was very frustrating because he's got to make those throws in his sleep. Like that's a throw that he just has to make in his sleep. I mean, I know we're all human. We saw Aaron Rodgers miss plenty of wide open throws as well every once in a while. But that was frustrating. But again, he looks good. Like he's making good decisions with the football lately. I mean, except for last week, but he doesn't have many interceptions on the year, and he's playing very efficient as a quarterback, 19 for 29. I mean, so again, this was an inferior team that you probably should have blown out of the water, but it's because they can't run the football efficiently like they did last year. If they could run the football like they did last year, these games wouldn't be close because they'd be able to have time of possession, they'd be able to keep offenses off the field, but they're not doing that right now. And I think it's definitely because teams are stacking the box because Josh Jacobs is really fucking good at football. So they're going to stack the box. I know Matthew Golden can run blazing speeds, but I don't think he's there yet because, I mean, this is only his 6th game in the NFL. Once Christian Watson gets back in, you'll see teams more playing a shell, lighten up that box a little bit. Hopefully that run game comes back, which it sounds like Christian Watson is very, very close to coming back. If it's not this week, I'd be shocked if it wasn't next week. But they got a really barn burner this week. And
yes, they do.
This is not only probably the best team, in my opinion, in the AFC against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm thinking it's probably one of the best teams in the NFC as well. I mean, I know Detroit's playing really good ball. Tampa Bay looks really flipping good. Philadelphia seems like they're getting their feet back under them after looking kind of stagnant offensively. But, you know, Green Bay's still winning games. But you're going to see, so the NFC is really, really tough. And especially with the 49ers probably going down because of all their injuries. They just can't catch any breaks, unfortunately for them, which actually I don't care about. They can get lost. But you're going to see one of the top teams in the NFC versus the best team in the AFC, in my opinion, in the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then we have headlines. Of course, we got headlines. We all love headlines. This is a headline game. This isn't a it's just the best versus one of the best. No, there's some headlines and there's some sour grapes going into this game, and there's going to be a lot of motivation on both sides of both teams to get this W, and I cannot wait.
No, it's going to be an absolute great one for us, not only for Packer fans, but just for football fans, just who love to see two great programs, a.k.a. great franchises, compete. So Packers play at 7:20 against the Steelers. That one is definitely going to be a great one to watch.
Yeah, check that. What's that line? Do we have a line on that?
I think the line that I saw was like 3.5 via Real app. or it might have been 3.5 via underdogs, and they had it to the Steelers, I think.
Oh, Pat, I have
Or what
a
do you have?
I have a betting line. I don't know who it's through, but I just Googled it. Currently, the Packers are 3-point favorites on the
Holy
road
shit,
against Pittsburgh. Um,
it's not
I
bad.
think this is going to be also a line that it's going to be different on everywhere you go
Yeah,
because I thought this was probably going to be the Packers going to be +3 or maybe even a pick 'em. Like just
yeah,
they're not going to no points to anybody because usually in the thought of betting, here we go off on a tangent. This isn't a betting show, but we watched enough betting shows to know. Usually the home team gets 3 points automatically. So that means if
right,
this was a neutral game, they would think the Packers are 6-point favorites, but because they're on the road, they're going to get, you know, they're going to give the Steelers 3 points, usually around 3 points automatically. So that means they're looking at Green Bay 3-point favorites. The one I have, I think this is on ESPN that they're doing
okay.
this. Um, DraftKings. Take a look quick.
I got Bet MGM right here. They're giving the Packers minus 3 even.
The 3-point favorite. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So, yep. DraftKings has Packers 3-point favorites, which is kind of shocking. Again, I thought maybe they would either do it a pick 'em. I think you'll see this line get smaller because
Yeah.
I think people are going to take the Steelers +3 at home, which isn't a bad bet because again, they're at home. I mean, home
Right.
teams in the NFL usually always have an edge, and Green Bay on the road hasn't been great. I mean, let's just call a spade here. They are they they are 1-1-1. I'm pretty sure on the road, and one of those games definitely could have been 1-2. Um, and this game could have been easily been 0-3. They could have easily been 0-3 on the road. So I I don't want to be that guy, but if we're talking about you making money, it's probably the Pittsburgh Steelers +3. Again, Green Bay hasn't really showed out on the road this
Right.
year. So, and Pittsburgh's at home. Aaron Rodgers is going to be motivated as a motherfucker to get this
Yes,
win
he
because he
is.
also needs this win because then he's defeated every single team in the NFL, which not many quarterbacks have on their record. So, the over is 45.5. I've seen 44.5 other places. This is just going to be a really good game.
Right.
I don't, I, what, this should be a Sunday night game, in my opinion.
It is.
I don't know what it is a Sunday night game. Good. The
Hell
NFL
yeah,
did
it's a
something
Sunday night
smart.
game.
I mean, hey, sometimes they put it at 3:25, which actually I wouldn't mind either. But hey, so we're gonna listen to Collinsworth talk about now. Here's a guy about 12 different times. He's about to yell, "Here's a guy so fucking loud," and that you're gonna see side by side comparisons to Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers about 12 different times during the game.
Yes, he will.
So you're gonna see the timeline of how Aaron Rodgers got to where he was. You're gonna see it all. So, but
Right.
this is gonna be a fantastic game. I'll tell you this: if Green Bay wins this game, now obviously Aaron Rodgers is gonna be very motivated. I think Matt LaFleur is gonna be even more motivated, and same with Brian Gutekunst, because him and Aaron Rodgers, both Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst had their issues with Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur being because Aaron Rodgers liked West Coast offense. He didn't like the Shanahan style offense with all the motion and everything like that. Brian Gutekunst, obviously, we know why him and Aaron Rodgers kind of has some issues because it was basically like two middle school girls fighting. Well, she said this, and then she said that. Nobody knows the real story of what happened, um, and we'll find out in 20 years probably. But yes, it's going to be a fantastic game. You hope maybe this is Christian Watson's first game back because that would, again, you got Jalen Ramsey on the other side of that ball. You got T.J. Watt on the other side of the ball. Cam Hayward. Pittsburgh plays defense, and especially at home. So you're going to need to be, if they can get that run game going, it's going to be great. And if Christian Watson plays, they're going to have to worry about going deep with Matthew Golden and Christian Watson. And then you throw Romeo Doubs in that fray too. Like that's going to be a tough deal. And if Devontae Wicks is a little bit more healthy, And don't forget about the certified psychopath Tucker Kraft. That boy is certified psychotic. I do not want any part of him when he has the ball in his hands running at me with those cocaine eyes that he has. So, but this defense has to, you have to take advantage of the old Aaron Rodgers. He's still Aaron Rodgers. He can still make plays with his feet, but he's not 10 years ago Aaron Rodgers, where a Micah Parsons may not be able to get him every now and again, or Rashawn Gary. You need to put pressure on him because, as we've seen with pressure in Aaron Rodgers, he loves hucking it up to his main guys. And right now, that main guy is DK Metcalf. So if you can keep DK Metcalf in check, if you maybe you could get a quick throw where Xavier McKinney can break on the ball, get an easy read, I think you can definitely do it. They're really good in the run game. The defense is, so I don't really have them worried about the run game. Jalen Warren is really good out of the backfield, so it's going to be another matchup versus Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker versus Jalen Warren in the pass game. And again, Aaron Rodgers doesn't make many mistakes with the football, so he's very clean. He doesn't. I mean, he has the best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL history for a reason. So you got to maybe find a short field every now and again. And special teams, you got to play non-catastrophe football. Please just don't make mistakes. Let's have some competency and keep playing well like they have been. So it's going to be a great game, but I'm picking Packers. Come on now, let's stop it right now. They're going to go into Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers is going to. Hopefully they get under his skin. Maybe the offensive line. The offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers has always been a question mark. Let's see if they can get Micah Parsons can get after Aaron Rodgers and Rashawn Gary can do the same. Lucas Van Ness hopefully will be back. It doesn't seem like he will. Devontae Wyatt, same thing, which is not good. I mean, I know Lucas Van Ness isn't the blue chip dude, but it's depth, and you like Lucas Van Ness as depth. And Devontae Wyatt makes that defensive line. He's the one who pushes the pocket back for Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary to come from the outside. So, again, you hope Keyshawn Nixon and Nate Hobbs. I honestly start to think it might be Carrington Valentine that should get a shot because I think Carrington Valentine plays a little bit better of an outside corner than Nate Hobbs has proven right now. But we'll see. But I think this is going to be an absolutely fantastic game, entertainment to cap off our Sunday night and our weekends. But I'm picking the Packers. Come on, let's just be real about that here. I'm not picking the damn Steelers. I might even take Packers points on that one. Like, give me the 3 points. They're going to win. And if they win by 3, I'll take my money back for a push.
There it is. Whew, can't wait.
Yes.
Man, let's move on over here to some, I guess, 2 other sports teams that we can go ahead and really talk very briefly about. The Badger football team went ahead and faced Ohio State Buckeyes. They lost that one 34-0.
Yeet.
I mean, went ahead, had 393 yards. I mean, if you just look at it, we don't even need to spend time talking about this because we've said multiple times since we started talking about this program what it needs to do. You saw the statement of what the AD had to say, and I already said my spiel about it. It's not that hard, people. There's no playmakers on that field. There's not one.
It's not, and actually, I've read. I don't know if you've read this, but there has been a lot of talk. J.J. Watt has come out and kind of actually took a stance against Luke Fickell, and it's actually kind of coming out now that the problem isn't in the university. I mean, it looked like it because they're not shelling out money. It looks like it's the Luke Fickell problem, and not because of what he's doing on the field, like with his coaching decisions or how he's trying to run an offense or anything like that. It's how he's doing the culture and how he's managing college football today. They had 2, and obviously, like, he isn't, apparently, per some sources that are close to high school football in Wisconsin. I mean, you with D'Antonio, I'm sure D'Antonio had a great relationship with every big high school football program head coach in Michigan. I'm sure he had a great relationship with every big high school football coach in Wisconsin. Coaches have relationships with big high school football programs. It's just kind of a way of thinking. Apparently, Luke Fickell doesn't have any relationship with any high school football coach in Wisconsin, and that's a fucking problem. I mean,
That is a problem.
you want to talk? That's your home. Like, kids at 10 years old are dreaming about playing sometimes for the Wisconsin Badgers. I know you probably had that dream. I had that dream. I mean, we all play it when playing in Pee Wee football, the dreaming playing for a big college program. But then when you get to that process when it was you, if all of a sudden like you're like, oh, I would like to take a look at Wisconsin. By the way, the coach, if you're in a big high school program and you're top sought out guy, I don't know Fickle because we don't have really good I don't know him. Where you heard stories about Brett Bielema and Barry Alvarez having great relationships with every single high school football coach that was relevant. I mean, Barry Alvarez, to tell this story, remembered 7 years after the 1994, my stepdad was lucky enough to win a state championship in Wisconsin on high school football for a very little town. Barry Alvarez remembered a singular play that my stepdad made. And my stepdad's like, I didn't even go to your program. But like that's how Barry Alvarez's mind works. He goes, he remembered every coach's name. He remembered every player that he ever recruited because obviously he's there watching the state championships because that's how you recruit. But like that's how their mind works. Apparently Luke Fickell doesn't do that at all. Like he has no good relationship with any high school football coach in the state of Wisconsin. And then there was two Go Red, which is a booster club, I'm assuming, in Wisconsin, that they were going to have two events in Milwaukee, which then Luke Fickell would arrive, maybe shake some hands, kiss some babies, sign some autographs, that type deal, talk. They had to cancel both of them. Why? He didn't want to show up. And that's a problem in my eyes. When you're trying to make a culture in Wisconsin that Barry Alvarez made, Brett Bielema kept, Gary Anderson tried to keep, didn't do so well. He tried to change the recruiting aspect of it. And then Paul Chryst followed, and you had success. But now you're coming in and you're trying to do things your own way while also not spending money in the portal. It sounds like he's very anti NIL money and he's not trying to spend so much. Like we talk about how people have had to adapt or die in college football. It sounds like the problem is, and I've been backing Luke Fickell. I think he's a great coach. It sounds like the way he's handling this culture is not good. And he has no relationship with the alumni players, which is a problem because J.J. Watt's got some cash. He would probably like to front you some to maybe bring in a big name that you could pay $1 million to, or maybe a quarterback that you could fucking score some points that you haven't done in two games of football. So it's a problem, and it's starting to become a culture problem. And yes, the AD has backed Fickell. I think at this point, Fickell's probably still going to be the coach at the end of the season, but that's only because if they fire him now, they owe him $20 million. They fire him at the end of the season, they owe him $6 million. So they're already out of. I mean, they would have to win 4 games in a row, or 4 games out of their last 6 to become bowl eligible. Actually, never mind. Yeah, they would have to win 4 of the last 6 to become bowl eligible because their only 2 wins are against non-conference teams. So they're 0 in the Big Ten right now, and they are getting now beat not just convincingly, willingly. They're not even putting up fights for these past 2 games. Michigan looked good, but now all of a sudden you're going to go to Eugene, Oregon. By the way, they're going to get beat by 40. That game's not even going to be a fucking game. So Saturday at 6:00, don't even worry about it. Just go out to the bar, go out to dinner. Maybe take a nice early night in. Just don't even play. If there's really nothing on TV, go for it. But by the way, not going to be good. Take advantage of the drink specials the bars have. Maybe if it like me and RJ go to the local bowling alley and they give buy one get one chips, even though it takes Wisconsin to score some points in order to do that, and they don't. But like if they do like dollar beers, just take advantage of it. Go for it. But don't go there to expect to win, because guess what? It ain't happening. So uh, this is a problem, and it's not going to be good because they got Oregon and Washington looked really good against Michigan last week. I watched that game a little bit, and I'm like, I thought Washington wasn't that good. Guess what? They look a lot more competent than Wisconsin right now. And then you got number two Indiana. Yes, I said that correctly. Second ranked Indiana. And then you get on the road, by the way. That's going to be another 40-point loss. And then you got Illinois at home, and then Minnesota on the road for the Act. I don't see them winning any games. I don't see them winning any football game unless for some reason Billy Donovan comes back and he's just better as a quarterback. The sample size for him is not that big in Wisconsin in this offense, but I don't think him coming back is magically going to change anything. So Wisconsin's got some issues right now, and if this culture doesn't change back to what it was, which is getting behind the Wisconsin-bred players, and then also with an adaptation of maybe doing some NIL deals, it's going to be like this for a very long time. Like, we thought this was going to take 4 or 5 years to turn around when Luke Fickell was hired. They're still 4 or 5 years away right now. Like, and that's getting back to maybe even 500. That's not even getting back to contending for the Big Ten. I mean, again, it's a harder Big Ten than what you used to play in, and what I watched growing up. But if he doesn't adapt to what college football is right now, it's going to be like this every season for a very long time, and then he's going to find himself out of work. And the way he's handling himself right now, he might actually not get some calls. I mean, he will, don't get me wrong, but the way he's handling this program, when Wisconsin's a pretty good program to take over with the alumni and then the booster clubs, he's just not handling it well. He's trying to turn back the clock and make it like how it was back in 2008, where there was no NIL and the conference was 8 or 10 teams. It's just not good, and things need to change. They have needed to change, but now that we're hearing that it's a Fickle thing, I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. Maybe Luke Fickle's just not right. Maybe not. Maybe he's not the right fit. You never know. But let's see if maybe you can get the axe back, or maybe knock off, maybe beat Washington at home, just to give something for Wisconsin Badger fans to cheer about. But it is not looking good, and it's coming out more and more that it's a Fickle problem, which is the worst thing you want right now. You don't want it to be. I mean, you want it to probably be a college or like a university problem. It's coming out that it's a Fickle problem. That's not good. That's really not good, because he's already on the hot seat with a lot of people, fans mostly. But he's got the AD backing. He's got Barry Alvarez backing. I don't know where this is going to go, but it's not good right now, and it's going to take them 4 to 5 years as of right now, and some really big changes culturally and NIL wise for them to dig themselves out of the hole they've put themselves in.
No, I hear you, man. Oh, we can only find out at the end of the season what happens. And we only find out week by week and day by day when we go ahead and think about Wisconsin Badger football and where this is going to be heading. But Lord only knows. Let's move on over here to our Brewers. They went ahead and obviously got swept by the LA Dodgers. Wonderful season, great regular season. You know, obviously we wanted to go ahead and put up a little bit more better of a fight. But we did go ahead and take care of the Cubs to get in this position. Talk to me a little bit about this Brew Crew team. Unreal season, though. I don't care what anyone says. This was an unreal season.
If you walked into, I mean, I'm going to steal a line that Craig Counsell said, because it's not wrong. When Craig Counsell and the Cubs lost, obviously Craig Counsell hid behind that the Cubs won 92 games. And he said, and this is not wrong, if you got the option to put 92 wins on your record, you would do it every single season. And that's not wrong. The Brewers won 97 games, which is a franchise record. They went for a 36-game stretch back in June into July, I believe. They went 32-4. Let me say that again. From 36 games, they went 32-4. They won 14. I think they won 14 games in a row at one point. We had 2 chances at George Webb's Burgers. We went 1 for 2. I didn't get any George Webb's Burgers because there's none located in where you and I live. That's okay. But the future looks really bright. But here we go again with the Brewers are unfortunately going to have to trade and move some pieces around. Why? Because they can't pay for it. Example, Freddie Peralta. He had a career year this year, and he is an ace. I kind of was on the fence about Freddie for the past 5 years because sometimes, mainly I guess it was probably every time that I went, he pitched and he sucked. But he went 17-6 this year with a 2.7 ERA and 200 strikeouts. The 17-6 ranks 4th in the major leagues. ERA ranks 7th, and the strikeouts ranked 9th. He's a top 10 pitcher in the MLB. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. The Brewers are not going to be able to pay for him unless he takes some kind of discount. But as we know, he's 29. He's probably looking at maybe one more big contract with some at a period before he starts getting into those older years where he starts taking less money and maybe bounce around from team to team. They're going to have to trade him, and then they're going to get assets back, which we all know how the Brewers love their assets. And then he's going to go to a big market team probably for a good amount of money, which good for him. We all got he is pitching. I don't know if people realize this. He is pitching on a 5-year, $3.5 million a year deal, and for those type of numbers, that is the best deal in the MLB. Like, show me a better efficient pay to play ratio than $3.5 million to get you top 10 stats in the MLB. I don't think there is. I mean, unless we're talking Jacob Mizorowski, but I mean, we have a small sample size with him. He's on a rookie deal. That kind of doesn't count. Maybe Screwball a little bit. Screwball, we call him Screwball. I think I don't know how much he's getting paid, but it's still $3.5 million getting you top 10 stats in pitching in the MLB. I don't think there's anybody out there on a contract that could do that on that type of efficiency. So he's entering the last year of his deal. We saw it last year with Willie Adames that the Brewers just said, you know what, we could trade him right now. We could get a lot of assets for him, but they pushed their chips all in because they know, first of all, he was your best hitter. You're not going to trade your best hitter. They trade their best pitcher, and guess how that worked out for him. By the way, spoiler, not so good. So Freddie Peralta, with all the arms that they have, and they got arms. They got Chad Patrick, they got Robert Gosser, they got Jacob Mizorowski. They might bring back Jose Quintana because he pitched pretty good this year. Brandon Woodruff, depending. You don't know if Aaron Ashby or DL Hall is going to make a move to the starting rotation. Quinn Priester was really good. They have so many options that I feel like you have to cash in on a guy like Freddie Peralta. Maybe filling a hole in, because you got Andrew Vaughn, still really cheap. Rhys Hoskins is probably going to be gone next year because he's a free agent, and you're not going to pay $17 million like you have the past 2 years for a guy like that. You could give that money to Freddie Peralta potentially. I wouldn't mind it. But you have so many arms in this Brewers, not only the rotation but the system. You could fill a hole at shortstop. Let's just say. I know people enjoy Joey Ortiz. I'm sorry, defensively, he cuts the mustard as a defensive shortstop in the MLB. Perfect. Offensively, no. It just doesn't work for me. Maybe if you wanted to move Caleb Durbin, if you did that, you can move Caleb Durbin in the second, because Caleb Durbin has proven he could play in the big leagues in his first year. It's just they have a lot of options right now. And unfortunately, when it comes to the playoffs, you need star power in the playoffs. And unfortunately, the Dodgers spent $500 million this year. And I mean, I'm not talking about the Ohtani contract. I'm not talking about the Yamamoto contract or the Glasnow contract. what they're paying guys this year without deferences, because they are deferring some money to past years, which I think is absolutely bullshit. They're paying $500 million this year in payroll. The Brewers this year are paying $120 million in payroll. The Dodgers pay $168 million in tax penalties alone for being over the cap. Let me say that again. They pay $168 million penalty for being over the cap. That's more than the Brewers' payroll combined. So when you have an offensive lineup of Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Smith, and then you got Muncy, and then Theo Hernandez, and then you got Tommy Edman, and then you follow it up with Kike Hernandez and Angel Pages, sorry. First of all of those guys could play, like, Teoscar Hernandez could probably be a 3-hitter on any other team in the league. Maybe a 4-hitter. Ohtani, obviously. Betts, obviously. Freeman, obviously. Will Smith, obviously. Max Muncy's getting up there, but he's still producing. Tommy Edman, maybe one of the, besides Bryce Terang, top 5 second baseman in the league. And then you got Kike Hernandez, who's played in a lot of big teams and a lot of big games. And then Pages is a really good younger addition for the Dodgers. So you have like 6 to 7 guys that could be 3-hitters in a lot of MLB teams, or 2-hitter, or 4-hitter, or 5-hitter, and be productive and be really good. They have 7 of them. So that's, first of all, that's not good. That's hard to deal with any pitching staff, unless you have the Dodgers pitching staff, where you have Ohtani, who's an ace, you have Yamamoto, who's an ace, Glasnow, who's an ace, and Blake Snell, who's an ace. You have 4 aces back to back to back to back. This pitching staff would have neutralized. They neutralized the Philadelphia Phillies with ease. And then they neutralized Milwaukee and made them look like the small market team that they are, because they're just overpowering, heavy fastball. Their changeups actually were the real story of this, because, I mean, you saw Snell do it, you saw Yamamoto do it, and Ohtani do it. They all had splitters or changeups, so that they're throwing in fastball counts for strikes. They're just throwing the Brewers off very, very heavily. And that's what talent is. Like, those guys are 4 aces who just can dominate you on any given day. Now, the Brewers have 1 ace. It's Freddie Peralta. Quinn Priester pitched really well. Is he an ace? No. Jacob Mizorowski, that's an ace, but he's green. He's a rookie. So the Brewers were just outmanned, outgunned, and outclassed. That pitching rotation is class. And when I mean class, I mean they're in a different class than what the Milwaukee Brewers are. The offense, you got Ohtani, who hits 50 bombs, Betts, who hits 30, Freeman, who hits 30, Will Smith, who hits 20, Muncy, who hits 20, Teoscar Hernandez hits 20. You got Tommy Edman, who probably hit 15 to 20. You got bombs all over the place. And it's just a tale of what money can buy versus what money can't buy, and what you actually have to roll up your sleeves and do the hard work for it. So, again, what a great season. Nothing to hang your head about. Yeah, you wish you would have gotten maybe 1 game against the Dodgers. But again, the Dodgers were just, they are just a different breed. And it's really unfair. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't like to be like, oh, it's so unfair. When you have 5 times the payroll, I think you can call a spade a spade. And what they're doing right now is why Major League Baseball is probably going to have a lockout in 2027. Because teams are not going to pass a CBA to let the Dodgers. I mean, the next closest payroll team is the Mets, and they have $350 million. It's not even close anymore. I mean, usually you had Houston and Boston and New York Mets, the New York Yankees, and the Dodgers all around $300 million to $275 to $325. When you start getting into the $500 million range, we have problems, in my opinion. So this will cause, if the Dodgers win, again, I'm rooting for the Blue Jays really hard, because I think that would be great for the city, because I think the Toronto Blue Jays have a great atmosphere, great fans. I like their stadium. But again, anybody but the Dodgers is my motto. I was hoping for the Philadelphia Phillies even to beat the Dodgers, even though I kind of thought the Dodgers were not as good, but then they got healthy and fuck, dude, they're a juggernaut. So go Toronto. Um, I think it would be I think it would be really awesome for Toronto to win it. Um, but it's going to be a tough battle for them because again, when you got those four pitchers that can you can just send them out back to back, it's a challenge as the Brewers found out. So I probably won't watch any of it because it's just going to piss me off. But uh, you know, y'all will keep me updated. But I hope for a great series. I hope for a Toronto Blue Jay win. But what Los Angeles is doing right now with that $500 million payroll is the reason baseball is probably going to get locked out in 2027. So not next year, but the year after that, we might not be seeing baseball for a little bit.
That'll be tough. That'll go ahead
Put a
and put some
damper on
red
our
flags
summer.
in the air. Not even summer. It's going to put on sports, man. MLB's damn near the first generation sport since we've started sports in the United States. So that's going to be something. But shout out to the Brewers, man. You know, we're down that hill for you.
Great season.
And
Yeah.
then, oh yeah, absolutely. It was tremendous.
It
Couldn't
was
even
it was a
think
it
of
was a that was
watching
a
it.
fun season. I mean, you look back at that was a more I don't this might be controversial, but that was a more fun season than the 2018 season, and we were one game away from the World Series in that season. I mean, I had more fun that season than I did in the 2018 season, which again, call me crazy, but I think this team is better than that team. But then you look at the Dodgers that they faced back in 2018 compared to now. This Dodger team is way better than the Dodger team in 2018. So, uh, unfortunately, again, MLB playoff baseball is about star power, and the stars for the Milwaukee Brewers. Cheerio, unfortunately, was hurt, but that dude battled through everything with that hamstring. I give that guy mad respect. And by the way, he still hit 320 in the series. Bryce Terang, not so good series. William Contreras, eh. Christian Yelich. Did, was that like his twin brother? Does he have a twin we don't know about? Because Christian Yelich looked absolutely lost, like he's never played baseball before. Sal Frelick didn't play that well, and Sal had a really good season. Andrew Vaughn had really big moments against the Cubs, didn't have a good NLCS. Caleb Durbin held his own for a guy that's a rookie. Jake Bowers, I think they found out should have played a lot more in left field, except for other than Isaac Collins. He really stepped up when Jackson Chourio went down. And then Jory Ortiz, again, he's a great defensive shortstop, but he's just not cutting the mustard at the plate. So maybe you could look elsewhere that way, which again, kind of feel bad for Jory Ortiz. But he hit 125 in the series. So and he had some moments where he could have gotten a base hit, gotten a walk. So again, it's about star power. The LA Dodgers stars came out to play, and the Milwaukee Brewers stars were barely shining. So playoff baseball is a different demon, man. And they took a step from last year. Not only did they not play in the 3-game series and get eliminated like they did last year and the year before, they got to a DS and they won the DS against a team that offensively was a little bit better than them. But they came out and showed out, and the stars came out to play against the Cubs, and then against the Dodgers, their stars came out to play against the Brewers. You just face the Dodgers at the wrong time. But you just come back next year and try again. So
yeah, no, that's really all you can do. Oh man, we appreciate you guys. Hey, listen, Bucks are playing. They play 3 games this week. Let's go 3-0 to start out the season. You guys have a good one. We'll see you. Peace out.